We're checking in with two of the most mischievous people, according to the courts, in this country today. I'm Sheila Gunn Reid, and you're watching The Gun Show. By mischievous, of course, I mean criminally mischievous. That's right. We are checking in with Chris Barber and Tamara Lich, the two leaders of the Freedom Convoy who were convicted of leading a peaceful protest against government overreach. That's right, the Freedom Convoy, wherein the government acted illegally in their invocation of the wartime law, the Emergencies Act, to freeze bank accounts and arrest and detain the convoy leaders. They have been put through the ringer. They've been put through hell. They have been attacked and demonized by not just the Canadian state, but their fellow citizens. And the state appears to not be satisfied until they are both completely financially and morally destroyed. But I've got news for the Carney government. That's not going to happen with these two. They are more mentally and spiritually resilient than most people I have ever encountered in my entire life. So, Tamara Lich, Chris Barber, join the show today. Chris from on the road, working hard in the United States, and of course, Tamara from her house arrest in Medicine Hat. And we've got news about what's coming in 2026 for Tamara Lich. So, take a listen. Now are two people I think you all know very, very well, especially if you're a regular viewer of Rebel News. I've got Freedom Convoy leaders. This is the most mischievous the gun show has ever been. Tamara Lich and Chris Barber. Guys, thanks for coming on the show. I wanted to have you guys on because I wanted to talk about, updates in your cases. I said off air what's happening in your criminality, but that would imply that you're actually criminals. I don't believe you are. I don't even think the people who prosecuted you really believe that you're bad guys. But sort of updates in that, and then let us know what you guys are up to. You guys started a podcast. I don't care which one of you talks, but tell us why you thought you would start a podcast, and what is it all about? Like, what's the goal of it?
Well, the podcast is called House Arrest, and it's on YouTube, streaming to all of our services. Yeah, we kind of thought, who are we giving credit for that? Somebody came up with that name, but I'm trying to remember. I think it was Rodney Palmer, wasn't it?
Rodney Palmer, yes.
Yeah. And so what a good way to pass the time. Every Thursday evening at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, we go on our podcast and we just talk about our week and what life has been like under the house arrest that we're both living. Obviously, my house is a little bit different than Tamara's right now. I'm in the cab of my beautiful truck down in Wisconsin. But I'm working and I'm allowed to do that. So when we do the podcast on Thursday, it'll be live from the cab of the truck on my end, and of course Tamara will be at home.
Yes.
And so you have guests on your podcast?
Yes, we do. Well, we wanted to obviously make the most of this time that we've been granted. Right. And so we really wanted to give a platform to, causes that we support, like our veterans, the vaccine injured, and stuff like that. The Coots Boys, we recently had Ray McGinnis and Gordon McGill on to cover the Coots Boys' case, and also to raise awareness on each of their fundraisers too, because let's not forget, there's a lot of people that are still in lawfare. So our very first episode, we were really fortunate to have the Honorable Brian Peckford on, former Premier of Newfoundland, to talk about the Charter and our Constitution, because we thought that was probably the best place to start. It's really why we ended up where we are now.
I'm glad you said that, because one of the things that really irritates me about your sentence, Tamara, is that so much of your free time otherwise was spent helping other people bring awareness to their causes, fundraising. And I don't believe that it serves the interests of Canadian society or justice whatsoever to take someone who has raised, I would suspect, close to $100,000 for other people's causes just off the streets and then plunked into your home. So I love that you are at least trying to use house arrest to do a little bit of that work that you have now been disallowed by the state to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, I mean, it's something that, has always been very close to myself and Chris's heart. I know is helping other people and basically to use our powers for good. People are paying attention to our case. And so it does give us an opportunity to do our best to help other people.
Well, I mean, even on the midst of our, it's been almost 5 years now since Freedom Convoy, and we've been in the legal battles for 5 years now. And amidst the legal battles that we've been going through, we both managed to spend a lot of time going to events, going to fundraisers, trying really hard to help the other people. And of course, there's people out there that we've missed, and we're both apologetic for not, reaching out to everybody, each and every one. But there's only so much we can do. But we've tried to do our best. There's been a lot of stuff when it comes to the injuries that the jab has created. I wish we could do more on that stuff, but unfortunately, our time is kind of limited with the amount of trial time we've spent.
Yeah, trial has taken you away from your family, but like Chris, you're working right now. I'm grateful that you're taking the time to talk to us today, but you are on the road. Like you're a working man. You're one of those people that keeps everything moving in this society. But I have seen people who are like, why is he able to go into the United States for work?
I did that yesterday on my social media. Yeah. I crossed the border in Manitoba into the U.S. and I thought, that's a perfect time to stop and just do a TikTok and just throw it up on social media there. Yeah. Hey, I just crossed the border yet again. I'm allowed to do that under my conditions. I'm allowed to work. The judge granted me the ability to make a living for my family and keep my business running. So as long as everything is scheduled out, I mean, I think I took 2 weeks off after Convoy because Convoy was such a huge experience and we were so tied up and mentally draining. When we got home, I needed a little bit of a break, but 2 weeks that I took off at home to kind of catch my breath after Convoy, I've been working ever since. Somebody made fun of me the other day on social media and said, wash your hands for a change. Well, it's stained. Like you can't wash the stains out of your hands. That's what happens when you work for a living. People should try it.
Yeah, it's real fun to see the laptop class who want to file a human rights complaint because they don't want to go into the office anymore, complain about a man who's supporting his family. Like, these people are the absolute worst. Tamara, for someone who's under house arrest, you're pretty busy. Like, we had to schedule this quite early in the day. We're recording this on Wednesday morning because you've got community service right after this.
I do have community service. Yes, I will be getting ready to leave shortly after the show today and head down to our local food bank where I'm going to be doing, I have been doing community service 2 to 3 days a week. And I'm also doing one morning a week at the church too.
Yeah, that's great. Again, good. You guys were the number one criminals in Canada. And I think for a lot of people, you still are the boogeyman in their minds. And you're out here just supporting your families and doing community service, which Tamara, I know you would do anyway.
Well, yeah, it's been quite the ordeal trying to go back and forth with the probation officers and the courts. Of course, anything we do for community service has to be granted and has to be an approved place by the government. So I've applied through my local community, my local RM, and that will be my community service. It's taken over 2 months to try and get everything situated where I can actually start doing things. So I'm not sure what they have in store for me yet. It's a small little community, but I'm sure they'll keep me busy for 100 hours, and it won't take very long to complete once we get started on it.
Yeah, Tamara, I mean, you're at the food bank, so you really see just how hard hit this country is by just 10, 11 years now of Eastern Canadians rewarding Liberal failures by re-electing them over and over again. You really get to see where the rubber meets the road on those things. Yeah, go ahead.
It has been a real eye-opening experience. And not only that, but I see now a lot of people that I know and used to work with that are coming through the doors. And I'm seeing a large number of new Canadians also. But it really goes to show you the state of the economy and how it's affecting Canadians.
Yeah, it just sucks. I'm not entirely convinced as Western Canadians we can vote our way out of this mess. And that's the problem with Confederation that frustrates so many people. Chris, give us an update on Big Red, because it's just the most iconic truck in Canada. I know the state wants it or wanted it. Tell us what's going on there, because I get a lot of emails saying, like, Sheila, can you tell me what's happening with Big Red? So tell us what's happening with Big Red.
I'm probably one of the most proudest Canadians to be able to drive this truck daily and make a living with this truck. I've owned this truck for 22 years. I bought it in November 26th of 2003. My son Jonathan was 7 months old in the passenger seat, its first passenger. We've been fighting this battle out. Of course, they introduced the forfeiture in April after our mischief guilty verdicts, and we've been fighting this out in court ever since. We get to find out the summary dismissal motion on Friday, December 19th. The judge will announce her stay on it. The lawyers I hopefully have painted her kind of into a corner where she has to throw this out. There's no merit for it. It's never happened in Canadian history where the federal government has tried to forfeit a piece of equipment allegedly used in the act of a crime 4 years after the fact and from different jurisdictions. So the case precedent going forward for this and other Canadians should really scare the living daylights out of most people. But we'll find that out on Friday. Of course, I'll be stuck in a snowstorm in probably Minnesota on my way home here, so I'll be zooming in from my phone from the peacefulness of Big Red while we find this decision out.
Now, what does
and if I could just add to that, ahead, Sheila,
yeah.
It's very telling. We were in court, and the Crown prosecutor literally said when Brendan Miller challenged him on his jurisdiction, they said if they lose this forfeiture application in Ontario, that they're going to proceed in Saskatchewan, and that basically they said there's nothing that's going to stop them from trying to get this truck. Now, the most concerning thing about that is we're seeing violent offenders, criminal cases, sexual assault cases being thrown out of Ontario courts because it's taking too long, so they're being jordaned out, or they just don't have the money. The Attorney General's office just doesn't have the budget to prosecute all these cases. So to continue the prosecution of our case, not just with the forfeiture order, but with the appeals and the counter appeals, is a decision that somebody is making at the taxpayer expense.
It just astounds me. Like, why? Well, I think we all know why. Because the truck is one of the, I think, most recognizable symbols of peaceful resistance in this country. And we can't allow that to live on. They're deleting the Convoy records because they're deciding that they're transitory. So now they're going to try to delete the truck too, just rewriting history in real time. And these people, they aren't going around trying to crush the drug dealer's car. He gets to park it while he goes to jail for 3 days, maybe, and then he gets to jump back in it and then drive around and sell poisons in your community. But we have to crush the truck that feeds Chris's family. I just find it so political and appalling.
Well, I want to remind everybody,
and
too.
It's unprecedented.
At the end of January in 2022, end of January in 2022, police led us onto Wellington in this truck. Tamara was in the passenger seat, my son Jonathan, and my little dog Zippy, who's sound asleep on the passenger seat right now. Police led us on there. They parked us in front of the Supreme Court of Canada. The truck was parked in the turning lane with one empty lane to the left and 2 empty lanes to the right. It wasn't impeding traffic at all. When they asked me to move the truck, I listened to police direction and I moved the truck. So we listened to authorities. We did, how is this even possible? I got a message from somebody on social media last night, and it kind of hit me a little bit. How are you not bitter with your current situation and how the government is treating you? How do you keep it under wraps and put a brave face going forward? And I had to reply back when I say I really fight that sometimes. There's a bitterness and an anger inside me that boils sometimes. It's just with the state of our situation and the lack of people that are waking up in this country and seeing what's actually going on. But at the end of the day, I've got a son that I need to be a role model to. You got a daughter that looks up to me. You got to keep that brave face on and keep pushing forward. And I think that's the main point of it.
Yes, it is sometimes hard to stay positive. But again, the whole purpose of lawfare is literally to bankrupt and demoralize you. And nobody can control that. We control our perspective. We control what we can do with our time. And like I've said before, nobody can really take my freedom away. My freedom comes from God. And so I can be locked up in my home, but that doesn't make me any less free. And I refuse to let them demoralize me. And I'm not a negative person. But I mean, yeah, it is frustrating at times, like I said earlier, watching some of these people just get, recycled through the justice system. And I've said it's what the biggest eye opener for me, I feel, is that all these institutions that I was raised to believe were implemented to give me a voice, to protect me, to make sure that my rights were protected, aren't designed to protect my rights. The legal system in Canada is not designed to protect people like myself and Chris Barber. And you were talking about them deleting these documents. There are civil suits before the courts right now. Ours is one of them for the bank freezes. And so could you imagine if we were deleting evidence?
Right.
We'd be in a jail cell already.
100%.
Right. No, Chris, before we move on, what happens to your family? What happens to your business if they take Big Red?
I don't know. I guess we find a way to move on. I can tell you one thing, that I will fight to my last breath for this truck. This is something that, I remember taking the loan out for this truck. It was the biggest loan I'd had in my life, and fought through payments on this truck for 5 years, and I worked my tail off. And here we are 22 years later, and 3.4 million kilometers on this truck. This truck by all rights should be retired, but I spend so much time fixing and maintaining it. I just changed the oil and did a maintenance on it on Sunday before I left. And all the time I'm doing this, I'm thinking, I'm still putting money into this truck, something that the government's trying to take and destroy. Now, we find a path forward, but I will tell you this, that I will fight to my last breath over this truck. This is my line in the sand. They've run us through the ground in the courts, lawfare at its finest. They've demoralized us and tried to demonize us in every media front in this country, and now they're trying to go for the jugular, I guess, on the last blow. And I will fight to the last breath on this. This is my line in the sand, unfortunately. You have to stand for something in this country and acknowledge that the government has gone so far out of line that eventually they have to correct themselves. How do these Crown prosecutors sleep at night? How do they go home and look their families in the eye and say, I did Canada a solid today? I just don't see it, and it makes me sick.
And it's just so obviously petty and vindictive. It's like we're dealing with, I don't know, middle school. It's even sitting in that courtroom sometimes and listening to some of the things and the accusations, like the wild accusation that were coming out of the Crown's mouth. I just kept, who are you people?
Right.
I've asked that so many times, because we are not the same.
He even brought his family to court one day and introduced. I got to shake his wife's hand and his two boys' hands, and I thought to myself, I'm like, is this like the human side of this person? Why would you bring your family and then introduce me to them? I kind of off guard a little bit, and then of course I shook all their hands and said hi, and here we are now. I just driving down the road when they introduced the forfeiture hearing, I actually was pulling an oversized load. I couldn't get off the road safely, so I actually had to log into the court and just put the phone on the dash with my hands free, just like I'm doing right now. And the judge agreed to let it go because I was working and I was kind of in a bad position. But driving down the highway, pulling a 30-foot wide load and having the Crown, hearing the words come out of his mouth, the Crown is applying for the forfeiture of the truck, I almost didn't know what to do. You feel so. When does it end? When does this bitterness and hatred end from our government towards people that just stood up? We just stood up. 2 years of COVID mandates and people having their lives completely trashed, and eventually people had to say enough, and then we did, and this is what they do to you in return. It's just it's a new level of sickness.
Especially when all the evidence that keeps coming out and continues to come out proves that we were right. We were right.
Sure. Yes. And as much as it is about you two, it is about everybody else not getting any ideas, inconvenient ideas. So that's why they have to thoroughly destroy you, which I don't think that they will ever do, because I think you two have unbreakable spirits. But just going back to something Tamara said, where you're sort of disillusioned by all these institutions that you thought were supposed to exist to defend your rights that are God-given. That, I think, is one of the worst things about COVID. And I don't think we will fully understand the damage of it all for years to come. And that is all the people that you would think would be in positions of management and leadership because they had a sense of right and wrong and black and white. They weren't yes men. They weren't morally ambiguous. Those were the people who were run out of town, who were pushed out of their careers in policing, in the military, in law enforcement, in academia, because they didn't go along to get along. And so now the only people left in positions of management in our cultural institutions and safety institutions are the people who just would do whatever they were told. And I think the damage to society and those institutions, we're not even going to know how bad it is for years to come.
No, I agree.
You're absolutely
the entitlement of Canadians right now and the conditioning of society is all but destroyed so much. How many people in Christmas in a few weeks from now or another week from now won't be celebrating a Christmas meal together because of what the government has told family members to hate other family members? Like that's the sad part of the year that we're coming into right now, and people still can't see it. My family's been affected. I don't know too many families that haven't been affected.
Mm-hmm. I was very fortunate in my case. My family, out of my entire family, and I come from a large family, there was only 3 of us that never got vaccinated, but we never let it get between us or affect our relationships at all.
Yeah, same. Christmas is at my house almost all the time. So I don't discriminate. And if you're going to discriminate, you're not welcome. But I have my family's otherwise pretty cool. Now, by the time people are watching this video, a big announcement will have been made about the future of Ms. Tamara Lich. Why don't you tell us what you're going to be up to in 2026?
Oh, yes. I am super excited that we're going to finally be able to announce that I've accepted a position with Rebel News as community ambassador. And so we're going to be doing a lot of fun things. We're going to be attending political conventions, doing book tours. We're talking about organizing a campus tour, which I think is going to be absolutely phenomenal. So, you know, I said when I was there last week for our training and our meetings that it's just such an honor for me. I mean, I've obviously been a huge fan long before any of this even happened. And I feel like we've already been working together as it is, you know, so I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think you are the perfect brand ambassador for us out in the world. You're someone who is brave and principled, but you don't have any of that vindictiveness and bile that I would have in me if I had gone through what you had gone through. And I think that you are, you know, you are somebody who has really lived your ethics and lived your values. You've paid the price for it, but you've come out the other side. And I'm just so excited to be a part of it. Yes. And to just, you know, not let the message of the convoy just die, being crushed by the hands of the state. We won't do that around here. So I'm really excited to see what you do next. We've got a lot of plans, and
yes, we do.
I don't want to say schemes, but we've got a lot of plans for you, and we know that you're a hard worker and you're highly motivated and you're not afraid. So I think you're just a great fit, right. And I'm so pleased to have you. If people want to see and support your security, especially because you just mentioned the campus tour, and I remember in our meetings I was like, I'm scared for you. I mean, we've seen what happens to we saw what happened to Charlie Kirk, but even less than that. I mean, we've seen what happened to Francis Widdowson on campus. The campuses in Canada are a place of crazy people, and that's not just the students; it's also the academics. And so,
I think it's the Tamara project.
Sorry. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, it's a totally different world now. And especially after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, I remember even Chris messaging me about it because we had to go back to court, you know, so, I mean, it is a concern. And Chris and I have been harassed, heckled, you name it outside of that courtroom. I mean, we have always had a lot of support, which is great, but there's always those few there, and you just never know, what to expect anymore. They've been so emboldened, and so it is definitely a concern. And so obviously doing something like that, yes, we're decided that we're going to crowdfund for security for myself at the tamaraproject.com.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you for correcting me on the URL. We have so many. I'm just so pleased. I'm so pleased that you've agreed to work with us, and the feeling of admiration and the honored that you have chosen us. It's mutual. Now, Chris, how do people, I said I would only occupy 20 minutes of your time because you're a working man. You got to get back out on there. You got to make the things go around. Tell us how people can support your legal battle to keep your vehicle and keep your livelihood.
Two different fronts to this right now. The Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms has been with us right from the start. They're funding. They funded a lot of my criminal trial in Ottawa. They're funding our $300 million lawsuit right now that Tamara and I are part of against downtown lawyer Paul Champ, as well as the Democracy Fund. Make sure the Democracy Fund gets their info there too. GCC has been with us right from the start. We've had a couple fundraisers around home to help with travel expenses, and of course, then if anybody wants to see Big Red merch, there's a website design. I've got an amazing lady in northern Saskatchewan that looks after all the website, and then we've been supporting a little bit of the SPCA and our local home community with some of the money coming in from that. So we went there to donate some stuff and came home with a dog and a cat. So remember, everyone, it's Christmas season, and there's those animals at the SPCA that need our help too. But bigredmerch.ca, there's a store there in the menu, and you can go get a hoodie or a Small Fringe Minorities hoodie, stickers, a lot of stuff there. It's been unbelievable to see the support. We did a run of calendars here about 2 weeks ago, and they sold out so fast we had to order another set of calendars, and they sold out within 4 hours. So we're done with the calendars for now. We appreciate all the support. My girl that does all this stuff has been working her tail off like day and night trying to get all this stuff out before the Christmas holidays. But no, I appreciate everything and everybody reaching out. As I'm sitting in the parking lot, I'm here watching guys drive by and recognize the truck sitting here. Thank goodness I got it washed and cleaned in North Dakota last night. So at least it's nice and shiny for the day.
That's great. Chris, I'm just so pleased that you were able to come on the show, and
Anytime.
I'm just so grateful for everything that you've done for Canadians and continuing to just give back and to not be demoralized, even though I believe that's the whole point. Tamara Lich, I look forward to seeing your little happy face in our morning meetings.
Yes.
And
don't forget, I'm going to come do some tag along training with you.
Absolutely.
We'll have to get that organized.
I heard a rumor the Rebels supposed to come to the farm with Tamara and you or Lee's or somebody and do an interview with Big Red live in the shop. Is that true? Is that happening?
It is now, brother.
It could happen.
Anytime.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, of course.
Right?
Sitting in a machine shop, drinking beers, talking politics.
Yep.
Sign
there might
me
be
up.
beer that happens in that shop. It's usually a Saturday event. We're working on equipment, and the neighbors always stop by for a visit. So we have to get our work done in the morning early, and then afternoons are usually a visit session. So anytime, my shop is always open.
Perfect. That sounds like just my Saturdays, but in a different province. So I can't wait. Thanks, guys. Chris, I'll let you get back on the road. Tamara, I know you got to get off to your community service. We'll
Doing
talk.
hard time, Sheila.
I know, hard time. Thanks, hardened criminals. Have a great day and Merry Christmas, Chris. If
Merry
I don't
Christmas.
get to speak to you between now and then,
Merry
thanks,
Christmas.
guys.
Thanks so much for you, Sheila.
Thanks for having us, Sheila.